Hi friends, this is Carmen. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My channel is all about balcony gardening with succulents and cacti in houseplants in an apartment setting. And today I am going to be sharing with you some of my succulents and houseplants that I just really loved the month of May, and that were really growing and just really making me happy for the month of May. So stay tuned and I'll show you all of them. Okay, so I have 5 plants today that I'm going to share with you that were really doing well for me. And these 5 really I don't pay all that much attention to. They just kind of go along and, don't need a whole lot of fussing from me. Actually, the more fussing I do over them, probably the worse that they would do. So let's start outside with some of the plants that were outside. And I'm going to start off with, I could probably take this little fairy guy out. This is my donkey's tail. And you can see it's really starting to grow. But the one thing that I love about it, let me see if I can tip it without dumping any soil out. It's getting so much new growth inside. Now, you probably know that these, when you touch the trails, the little leaves just pop right off. Well, when I do that, I just pop it back in, and there are several in here. I'm not sure if you can see them or not. There are several in here that are starting to grow new plants of donkey's tail or burro's tail. And that is how they propagate themselves basically in this. And from where I've also, some of them have fallen off. You can see there's a new trail starting there. And there's other places. So this one is really filling out for me. I got this as a little 3-inch pot back in January. Actually got it in Santa Clarita, California. And my daughter and I were out there. And I have it outside on my patio table. It does not get direct sun there because of the umbrella that I have there, but it does get very bright light, and it's getting to the point where I'm going to need to hang it soon because it's almost touching the table with its trails. So it's normal for them to kind of curl this way, kind of looking for light. So I'm going to hang this one up here pretty soon, somewhere in the balcony where it won't get direct sun, but it'll continue to get very bright light. I water this right now in the summertime. It's getting hot. Like today it's going to be 105. I water this right now about once a week. I still do test the soil to make sure, because this one won't dry out as much as the ones that are in direct sun most of the day. And although this is terracotta, it's a glazed terracotta, so it can hold a little bit moisture longer. So I do check it, but it's basically right now about once a week. In the winter time, it's really probably about every 3 or 4 weeks, because they may go dormant. They just may not need as much water. So in the wintertime, about every 3 or 4 weeks. And this donkey's tail is one that I'm just loving. Every time I sit out on the patio on the table, I just look at it, marvel at it. And I do have this little fairy guy that I put in there for him. See? So that's a donkey's tail. Now another one out on the balcony. This is my pink butterfly, Kalanchoe pink butterfly. And see if you can see on there the little plantlets that are on these stems. I've had this one for quite a while. I've taken lots and lots and lots of cuttings from this, and it just keeps popping back. It's such a resilient plant. Very similar to the Mother of Thousands. You've probably seen the Mother of Thousands that has a wider leaf and all the little plantlets around it. And when they fall, they propagate onto the soil. Well, the pink butterfly is not like that. It's a hybrid. So when these tiny little plantlets fall onto the soil, they will not propagate. That is one characteristic of this hybrid, that you need to propagate it by either taking the full leaf and placing it in soil, or the best way that I found is simply cutting. And you can root it in water or put it right back into the soil once it's calloused over. And then these will start giving off side shoots. I'm thinking that I'm going to need to cut it again here pretty soon because it's got this really, really long stalks here. So I'm thinking that I may need to trim her up. But lately with the sun, she takes full sun. In the morning time, she's out there in the full sun and does wonderfully. I've noticed in the wintertime she was dormant, didn't have any plantlets at all, but right now with all the sun, all these plantlets are just booming out of her. Now she definitely gets watered every week, if not more, depending upon my weather. Like, for instance, the next coming days it's going to be hot. There's even an excessive heat warning here where it's going to be up to 110. So she's in terracotta, succulent soil, very well draining. So I may water her twice a week because she's in full sun, terracotta. She's going to dry out a lot more. And with that temperature, even in the morning time, it's going to really stress her out. So, you know, I may water her twice in that week, but if it's normal heat, like 105, then I would water her about once a week. She does, for me, she does go dormant in the wintertime, and I really don't water her. I just let any type of rainwater that may fall on her. I do try and keep an eye on how much rainwater may fall on them because I don't want to drown them. So this Kalanchoe pink butterfly is another one that I'm just loving this month of May. And I like to put little knickknacks inside of my pots. This is just a little, I don't even know what this is. It looks like a salt shaker or something. That is a little butterfly. Let's see if I can, you see that little butterfly? And I just put it in there because it's pink butterfly, and this is, you know, a pink butterfly plant. So anyways, I'm weird that way. Okay, so coming inside, I want to share with you this guy. Rosie, it's just the neighbor. Okay, that's enough. This is from what I have looked online and from what the individual that sent me the plant is Stapelia Huernia. This was sent to me about a little more than a year ago, maybe 18 months, as just a couple of cuttings. I think it was this one and this one right here were the original cuttings. And this past few months, it has given off so much growth. It's really incredible. Now, I've been watching Stef Hall's videos on Stapelias and such. She's got a great collection of them, and I mentioned to her that I have one and it just has not flowered for me. So she mentioned that it really does need more light. So I had this one in darker, I think it was in my bedroom area, medium light. So I moved her up here to the east facing window right up there where she'll get even some dappled direct sunlight in the early morning. And since then, it's just really taken off in growth. And I'm very, very hopeful that this guy will give me a flower. I'll put a picture up here of what I believe is this plant and what the flower will look like. But it's just incredible, the flowers, star-shaped flowers that they give off. So I'm really hopeful. I do have this one in a kind of a chunky mix. It's succulent soil, perlite, and some few orchid bark in here to make it chunky for it. And Right now I water this one probably about every 10 to 14 days. I don't give it a whole lot of water. My instructions were to keep it drier, and even in dormancy time, let's see, it says November through March not to water at all. So, you know, I don't, and it's managed to live. And right now I think the one thing that it was missing was the brighter light. It's just really taken off for me. So I'm hoping my Stapelia here will bless me with a flower soon. Let us hope. Okay, so continuing on, I'm gonna leave that one for last. Oh Lordy. This one here is my I always have trouble saying this name, Homalomena Emerald Gem. And this was a Home Depot find for me. I think it was like $6.95 in a 6-inch pot. And it's just been giving off leaves like crazy since I repotted her in this a little bit larger pot. Maybe too big, but she's doing well. And the soil mix is regular potting soil with some orchid bark and perlite. I've never had this kind of plant. I never even had heard about it. I first thought it was a philodendron when I brought it home. So I wasn't quite sure what she would want as soil mix, and this seems to be working for her. Now, I will say that she doesn't need a whole lot of fuss, but she does like to maintain moisture in her soil. And I'll show you a picture here of what she looks like when I do not pay attention to her and water her on time. She just drooped all the way down, and I have her back here in front of my hutch, and I didn't quite see her. You know, I'm not sure what happened that I let it get to that point. But when I saw her, I was like, oh, you know, what did I let you do? I'm so sorry. So I watered her, and within the next day, she popped right back up. So kind of like a peace lily type of watering schedule, I would say, that they will let you know. But she does like it more on the moist side than drying all the way out. So I will let maybe the top 2-3 inches dry, and then I'll water her. But if I forget, oh, she'll let me know. Now I noticed when I brought her out here that there is another leaf coming out right there. So she's definitely giving off leaf. Now I do think that the leaf size on her are a little bit small, and I do think that she could do better with some brighter light. I just don't have the space to move her to a brighter excuse me, brighter light situation, and I won't until, you know, my daughter moves out. So until then, she's just gonna have to hang out right there. She's doing okay, and then once I get her, you know, much brighter light, I do think that her leaf size will get better, and she'll really go to town on growing. So Homalomena Emerald Gem is my next favorite plant for May. Okay, now the last one, I have to get up to get her. Oh Lordy. Ugh. Okay, y'all know that Chinese evergreens, aglaonemas, are probably, as far as houseplants go, one of my favorite genuses, because they are just so wonderful, not only in the foliage color, but just how easy they are to take care of. You know, I'm gonna have to do a video on my Aglaonema collection here soon, but this is one of the very first ones that I got, and this is the red Aurora, or Red Siam, I think it's also called too. And I've had to, let's see there, tie it together. There's 3 or 4 plants in here, and it's getting so bushy that I've had to kind of tie them together so they don't really flop over. And then I just noticed too that there's a new stem popping out right, let's see it right there. So that's doing really well. Now, one thing that I have noticed with this plant, she's definitely giving off a lot of leaves, but I noticed too, this is just, let me see, where can I find, okay, right here. The lower leaves will turn this color, and that's normal for them. So if you see in this variety of Aglaonema, the Red Siam, the lower leaf will start turning like this, which is beautiful. Kind of looks like autumn leaves or fall leaves. And I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's a lower leaf and it doesn't get as much light, or if it's just getting ready to, you know, die off. But if you see that, it's no big deal. It's just what this particular plant does. It's obviously not, you know, in any distress or anything, because it's giving off new leaves. There's another one right here. This one just opened. This one just opened, and it's giving off new shoots down below. So she's in an east-facing window. I'm going to have to turn her around because you can see what side is the back and which side faces the window. I do need to be more diligent about rotating my plants over there. But this one is been in this ceramic pot 2 years now since I got her. And she is in just regular potting soil with some perlite. I probably would need to change the soil on her because it's the original soil that I initially potted her up in 2 years ago. So she may be due for an update here. Maybe I can separate her. But she does well in that. So in the new soil, if I add it with a little bit chunkier mix of orchid bark, I think she'll do just as well. But she likes free draining. I let her dry out pretty well. All of my aglaonemas, I let them dry out pretty well, and only water them when probably the top 4 or 5 inches is dry, which could be pretty much the entire container. And they seem to do well with that watering schedule in the growing season, for me, spring, summer, and even into fall. In the winter time, you know, I may back off on that a little bit, but she didn't really seem, none of my aglaonemas really seem to go into any kind of dormancy during the winter time. But here in Arizona, we have such a mild winter and it's still so sunny. So that's, for me, you with all of this information I'm giving you as far as watering and lighting and all of that, you really need to take into account your particular situation, your zone, you know, your lighting situation. This is what works for me, and so you can take that as general information and apply it to your situation. Okay. And with this one, along with the Homalomena, I've started fertilizing them in the springtime. I just use the regular Miracle Grow concentrated liquid that I mix into a gallon. I half dose it, so I think it's 1 teaspoon is the full dose, so I do half a teaspoon into a gallon. And all of my indoor foliage plants I water with filtered or distilled water, because the water here in my town is very, very hard. And you know, it was just giving me brown leaves with all of my plants. So I have switched over to filtered or distilled water, and that's what I water them with, even during fertilizing also. Now, as far as pests with this, I've never had any problem with any of my aglaonemas as far as pests, or my Homalomena either. But I have heard that they are more susceptible to spider mites. So that's something you may want to keep an eye out for. But mine have not had any issues with that. You know, just have to keep a close eye on them and catch it early. Okay? Set this back. Oh, Lordy. Okay, so those are the plants right now that I was just loving for the month of May. You know, plants, and particularly right now during what our country and what the world is going through as we're coming out of our kind of hibernation in our homes, you know, these plants are really what sustained me and gave me something to do, something to take care of. And not that they didn't before, but I think during that time it was even more evident to me how therapeutic taking care of plants, whether it's succulents, cacti, house plants, whatever the case may be, but actually taking care of something and nurturing it can really have a wonderful effect on your mental health, on a calming effect on you too. So I hope that, that has been the case for you also. I know it's been for me, and I'm very appreciative to my plants for giving me that. Okay, hope you enjoyed this video today, friends. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that red subscribe button right there, and make sure that you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Okay, you don't want to miss any of this. Okay, thanks so much, friends. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, have a blessed day. Bye-bye.